Hey, y'all. Welcome to Cornbread and Roses. I'm your friendly neighborhood organizer, Austin, and I'm here today with uh, Jason.
Hello, comrades.
I looked at the screen and not the camera that time, which is why we're the most unprofessional podcast in the state of Alabama, maybe even the nation, maybe even the world. So, yeah, good to see y'all out there. Glad you're with us. We thank you. We got a few things we're going to talk about today. We got some more bills passed in the legislature. Uh, and we'll talk about a few of those. And then we had another week of protests of various stripes and groups and everything. And we're also going to talk about the economic blackout that took place on Friday. So, yeah. So, Jason, how about we start with them bills? Because there's some you're saying we ain't got to worry. We got them lack of home rule bills. Don't want to read through all those, but we got a few bills to highlight this week.
Yeah, there's a long list of bills that the legislature passed, but most of them are do such and such in this county. Like there's one that allows the governing body of a Class 2 municipality to determine whether debris is a public nuisance and remove it. It passed 29-0. The bill now goes to the Senate. So, there's a lot of stuff like that because we don't have home rule. Now, obviously, I think the only Class 2 municipality in Alabama, and it's based on population, is Mobile. So that allows specifically Mobile to determine whether debris is a public nuisance or remove it. And that's something that every municipality should be able to do without involving the Alabama state legislature. But we don't have home rule. So there are a lot of bills like that in the hopper this week. And so I don't want to go through all of those, but I did try to identify a handful of them that I thought were maybe a little bit more worthy of shouting out. So one is HB 73, sponsored by Representative Patrick Sellers from Pleasant Grove. It prohibits the possession of a trigger activator in Jefferson County only in Jefferson County, which enables a firearm to shoot automatically without manual reloading. It passed 25-0. So my attitude, if it's good enough for Jefferson County, it's good enough for the whole state. I really hate this lack of home rule in the state, but I guess it's made specifically to address gun violence in Birmingham.
Well, I looked at this. I didn't read the bill because I'm a terrible person, but which enables a firearm to shoot automatically without manual reloading, which that don't even make sense to me. Like I'd have to read it, but I mean, I know it's basically trying to talk about Glock switches, which I think is another bill that passed. But yeah, like I guess the automatically part is the important part of what they're talking about.
Right. So I'm not a big gun person, so I don't know as much. And I only know that a trigger activator, according to DuckDuckGo, means a device designed to allow a semi-automatic firearm to shoot more than one shot with a single pull of the trigger by harnessing the recoil energy of any semi-automatic firearm to which is affixed, so that the trigger resets and continues firing without additional physical manipulation.
Well, is in the other part that catches me is the manual reloading, because like that's a bolt action when you have to manually reload, but a semi-automatic you don't have to manually reload. So it's just a weird way this sentence is constructed. Maybe it's the journalist, and
Maybe so.
Not trying to go on blast the journalist, but could just be very well the language of the bill itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, if it's good enough for Jefferson County, it's, as Jolly Green John there says, home rule is a common sense thing. It's good enough for all them other counties, all 66 others. However, we got 67, right? We still got 67 counties, I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
Canada could be our 68th county.
That's a big county.
Be a class 1 city.
It'll be class 1 city along with Birmingham.
Yeah. So what else we got on there?
So let's see. There's HB 94, sponsored by Wanlin Gavan from Birmingham. It expands the definition of a Class B felony in second-degree human trafficking to include online or print advertising of sexual labor. So it passed 103-0. The bill now goes to the Senate. So that was one of the few bills that weren't just a do such and such in this county type bill. And so basically, if you're doing second-degree human trafficking, it's now a Class B felony instead of presumably a Class C felony.
How are there different degrees of human trafficking?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know. That's a good question.
And how many classes of human trafficking are there? This is why you do your research, folks.
I know, right? Like instead of having to do it on the fly, like we are the most professional podcast in the state, perhaps even the nation. So let's see. A person commits the crime of human trafficking in the second degree if a person knowingly benefits financially or by receiving anything of value from participation in the venture or engagement for the purpose of sexual servitude or labor servitude. So I guess if you benefit from it, so if you are participating in a venture, like you didn't directly traffic the person, but you're benefiting from it, you've committed second degree human trafficking.
All right. Now I get it. It's like it's for a network of human trafficking, which is how they work typically. So yeah. All right. If you're not the boss, you're not the human traffic boss. You're the human traffic underboss.
It says there's more, but like a person knowingly recruits, entices, solicits, induces, harbors, transports, holds, restrains, provides, maintains, subjects, or obtains by any means another person for the purpose of labor servitude or sexual servitude. But that sounds like first degree to me. If I'm the person doing it.
Yeah. Lawyers, man.
It's weird.
Well, I, for one, think slavers should be in jail, and we can start with the CEOs.
I know, right? Oh, yeah, the law specifically carves out corporations. So if you're a corporation or any legal entity other than an individual, you may be prosecuted for human trafficking in the second degree for an act or omission only if an agent of the corporation or entity performs the conduct. So those are nice little, yeah.
A corporate carve out for slavery.
No.
Oh, only in Alabama, folks.
No, it's not just in Alabama. It's in
I was about to say, coming soon to your state.
I often joke that, if Al Qaeda wanted to hurt Americans, instead of doing terrorism, they should just form a corporation, and then they can dump whatever they want into the river. They could hurt as many Americans as they want. They could poison the food. They can do whatever they want and turn a nice, tidy profit. Besides, as long as they grease the right palms, it'll be a-okay.
Oh man! Oh my God! Well, yeah, that
too much.
Why not for 2026? Something to look forward to. I mean, Trump did go out and have some peace talks with them. Never negotiate with terrorists and all that, but not if you're the art of the deal man himself.
So yeah, I mean, 3M creates like 50 jobs in Decatur, so they just let them dump whatever forever chemicals they want into the Tennessee River.
Totally worth it.
Yep.
50 jobs, totally worth it.
All of downtown Decatur smells like hot cat food because Meow Mix gets to gets to operate because they created like 50 jobs, and so who cares if downtown Decatur smells like hot cat food?
Does Decatur have an abnormally large population of cats? Is what I'm wondering now.
I don't think so. It is the home of Meow Mix. That is one thing that Decatur is known for. That we're known for in Decatur is being the home of Meow Mix. So there you go.
Well, at least you get the fancy hot stuff and not the cold food, right?
Well, I think it cools off in the can, but it's hot when they're cooking and canning it, and it smells exactly like you imagine hot cat food to smell like, and it's just a permanent feature of downtown Decatur.
Well, pretty soon we'll all be eating cat food if at least if those prices stay as they are.
And they gut Social Security like they're talking about doing.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a couple of good news bills. HB 238, sponsored by Representative Parker Moore from Hartselle, which is my neck of the woods, allows nonviolent criminals that have served their time to receive an occupational license. So if you're a nonviolent criminal and you've done your time, you're now eligible to receive occupational licenses, which previously, like, the law is strange. It says that if you're convicted of a crime of moral turpitude, there are certain licenses you can't get, but it never really defines what moral turpitude is. And so I think in practice that has meant most crimes. Well,
I think the crime of moral turpitude is being an elected official. I think is the definition. I could be wrong though.
So it would allow, if you're a nonviolent criminal who served your time, you're now eligible to get an occupational license. Now, I think that should be anybody who served their time, but I'll take it. It passed 97-0, and it goes to the Senate. So that's kind of a good news bill coming out of Hartselle.
Yeah, I was in Hartselle this week. Might talk about that a little bit later, but yeah. Got to meet some staffers with Dale Strong's office.
Oh yeah, I saw that Dale Strong wasn't going to be there, and I had to work, so I was like, well, it's not worth taking off work for just to go yell at his staffer.
Yeah, I didn't yell. I was very polite, and the young man that I spoke to was very polite as well. Now, the first question I asked him, I said, "Do you know how much Dale Strong's worth?" He actually knew. He said he's worth $22 million.
How? How did he get $22 million?
So, from what my little research into Mr. Strong tells me, is his dad owned a store and made a tidy little profit from that, but additionally expanded out and created a bus company as well. So I'm not sure what bus company that is. I've not gotten that far in tracking that stuff down, but yeah. And so yeah, he inherited it pretty much is what I'm reading into that.
That's where most people get their money.
Yeah, and the Economist yesterday had an article. Don't worry about career progression. You need to worry about your inheritance. That made me laugh.
I know, right?
Like, you're not talking to the 60+% of folks with living paycheck to paycheck. You ain't talking to their kids, right?
That's right. So then there's HB 266, sponsored by Representative Matt Woods from Jasper, which creates a non-traditional high school diploma program for dropouts, which also I thought was good news. So basically, if you have dropped out of high school, there is now a diploma. There will be a diploma program for you to apply to and obtain a diploma. There was some concern expressed about discouraging people from dropping out altogether, but aside from that, the bill passed 103 to 0, and now
See,
goes.
I thought we already had a GED program.
Well, this one's different somehow.
So this is non-traditional diploma program.
Yeah,
So,
HB 266. Let's see what we got here.
so I would have guessed GED would be a traditional high school diploma program, and this is a non-traditional. Like, man, can you get like video games? Like, can I get a diploma if I play a lot of different video games? I can play like a math video game, and like Hoi 4, Hearts of Iron 4, and like get a history history.
Oh man. I've never played Hearts of Iron 4, but it's one of those video games you see a lot online, namely from wearaboos, from people who are like really into Germany in World War II.
Yes, I play it. I love it and think it's fantastic. And but yeah, there's like Warhammer 40K. It's in that same little like. There's a very there's a bunch of fascists that love that game too.
But then there are people who are not fascists who I like. It's weird because I've only played Warhammer 40K a couple of times, but I love the lore.
Oh God,
and
yeah.
I've spent a lot of time in the 40K rabbit hole, just learning the different lore and the different background, and yeah, like it's not a world that you would ever want to live in.
No. But yeah, 6-hour lore videos on the Space Marines. Yeah, let's cue that up.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
yeah, we could play some Oregon Trail. Yeah, we could get a little history lesson from Oregon Trail too. Man, my
Yeah,
favorite part of that
dysentery.
game was the hunting.
Really, all I
Yeah.
remember is getting dysentery and dying. And you
I've had dysentery. You can last a while with it.
and you can caulk the wagon and float across, or you can ford the river.
You can caulk your ass when you got dysentery too.
Well, there you go.
Oh man. All right.
So I'm not clear on what a non-traditional program is, but basically restoring educational advancement of completing high school, the REACH Act. So,
Yeah.
I'm
I'm with you. I'm for it. Like, you should never stop learning. And these accolades that we have, a degree here, there, what have you, a license. There is something to say about having a set of standards and meeting them, and having some level of competency in what you're doing out there. So, hey, let's go.
Well, absolutely. No, I'm all in favor of creating educational opportunities for people. I didn't have my act together in high school, but I was able to go to college, and college was one of the best things that ever happened to me. Like, it definitely made me a better person, a better thinker. So, not that I'm a good thinker by any chance, but I'm better than I was at 23 years old.
Praise be.
So, no, I'm very happy with the education that I got from UAH. I paid a fraction of what my friends who went to Stanford and MIT and Georgia Tech paid, but I know computer science just as well as they do. And we used to live in San Francisco and work alongside of them. Be like, you're 100K in debt, dude, and you learned the exact stuff that I learned.
Yeah, the math is pretty much the math wherever you go, right?
So, well, I often wondered, and when I went out there, people didn't know what UAH was, and so they're like, "We don't know what UAH is, so we don't know how much to pay you or how much respect to give you." It's not a name brand college like going to saying you go to Stanford, and I don't mean to knock Stanford. Like some of the people who invented computer science are still alive and teaching there.
Yeah.
But I just working with the people I worked with who were like, "Oh yes, I have a Stanford degree." I didn't feel like they knew computer science appreciably better than I did.
Nah. Like,
There may have been somebody who benefited from the higher name brand college, but I was able to go out and work in Silicon Valley with just my little degree from UAH, and so I was very pleased about that.
yeah, I'd say it's much less about the degree, where like the degree in math or social sciences or whatever. I think they're going to be effectively knowledge wise the same. I'm not saying they're adding some that are a little better here and there, but it's really, in my opinion, the connections, the social connections that you really pay for with stuff like that, or that having the BMW instead of the Toyota, but the Toyota
Right.
still gets you there. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. So I was very proud of my alma mater, and at the time I went to UAH, it was dramatically cheaper than it is now.
Mm.
I don't want to date myself, but it was I paid a song for my college education, and between Pell Grants and working at the Waffle House, I was able to pay for it. So
Oh man, I gotta have you over to cook up some food.
oh no, I never cooked. I was just a waiter.
Oh,
I
close
worked
enough.
I worked third shift on weekends and made a killing in tips.
Bet. Hell yeah. I Waffle House is in my veins, man. Like they're and they're working on unionizing. Met a Waffle House worker at a labor notes conference, and they're working on it. And hey, needs to happen, and
Absolutely.
I hope it happens far sooner than later.
That would be quite a coup.
Hmm. So, all
Let's
right.
see. So two more. The next one is the SB 116, which is the Glock switch ban. So it would make it a state crime to possess or distribute them. It passed 28-0, goes to the House, and that's pretty straightforward. I guess I'm on board with banning Glock switches. It seems like a reasonable and responsible thing to do. Um, I have mixed feelings about gun control more generally, but like you're at like any other leftist, right? But I mean, it's one of those issues where I haven't really come down on a side very definitely. Like on one hand, I see the benefit of bans and like maybe we don't need the devices that are designed to kill other human beings. On the other hand, I'm you know sympathetic to pro gun arguments as well. So it's an issue where I haven't. It's one of the very few issues where I haven't come down on a definite side, and I kind of see the arguments on both sides and am open to being persuaded either way.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like if they do it for something like Glock switches, Glocks or whatever, like some of that, the logic seems to also apply to like ARs. And, but it's, I know right now, uh, I don't want too much of nothing touched because, there's a lot of, like this week, there's some Patriot Front signage that got uh, found around the state in about 2, 3 different places. So, and I'm pretty sure those Patriot Front folks are happy to have their ARs and they have them. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm sure you've heard about these Alabama white supremacists that got charged with trespass and burglary at a nuclear power plant in Mississippi.
Yeah. Nazi accelerationists.
Yeah, there were a couple of people from Madison, from our neck of the woods, out involved in that. And they're like 19 years old, who are out poking around a nuclear power plant in Mississippi under very shady types of circumstances. So burglary and trespassing was all they could charge them with.
From what I read, they actually got into a portion of the facility, which, woo, it wouldn't take much to mess with one of them cooling towers. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that, that is a horribly scary situation.
Absolutely. It's bad enough that they're out in the world existing, let alone poking around nuclear power plants.
Yeah, they're accelerationists, man. We got some accelerationists that are thinking it'll bring about a utopia, and then you got some that want to just bring about a race war. So,
well,
I don't think accelerationism is. Musk and Teal and all them, they're also accelerationists.
Yeah, they're more mixed up in that philosophy.
Yeah. Fuck accelerationism.
Yeah.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah. So last but not least, so this is probably the most controversial bill in the bunch, and I saved it for last. So this bill, HB 280, sponsored by Cynthia Almond out of Tuscaloosa, requires participants of unpermitted events to reimburse municipalities. It passed 70 to 22. Now, Almond says that it's needed to deal with parties that are like unpermitted parties where people are selling alcohol and liquor without licenses. So apparently people are throwing together these pop-up parties at like 11 p.m. on social media, getting people out there selling alcohol without getting a permit. And it's cost the city. So the city of Tuscaloosa, for example, according to Almond, will spend upwards of $100,000 on a weekend shutting down these parties. There are extraordinary costs, so we don't think the taxpayer should have to bear the burden of. So the problem becomes, of course, right, like I'm immediately thinking of protesting. And what happens if they decide that my protest is unpermitted? And now I'm on the hook to pay the city for my permit, for my protest. And the bill also allows colleges and universities to shut down gatherings. So in addition to law enforcement agencies. So this looks like that was written with an eye towards the Palestinian protests on college campuses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw this bill and I thought it pretty much spot on what you said. Like immediately was like, this seems like a violation of First Amendment rights, and don't we already pay taxes to like? How is it costing them $100,000 to arrest people? Like they're working on shift and they're arresting people. Like where's this $100,000 coming from? Sounds like bullshit.
So yeah, I think that could have a chilling effect on protesting. The bill passed 70 to 22, which indicates that a large number of Democrats voted against it, possibly some Republicans as well. I think the bill's got to be defeated.
Well, let's hope so.
That's HB 280. If you're inclined to, well, it's already passed the House, so it's going to go to the Senate. So it'll probably be, I don't know if it'll be Senate Bill 280, but you can refer to it and say it's the one that requires participants of unpermitted events to reimburse municipalities, and they'll know which one you're talking about.
Well, yeah, Representative Mary Moore, Democrat, Birmingham, was the first to object to that bill as too broad because what can be considered a public nuisance. I think can be an infringement on people's First Amendment right because it is so broad and is left to interpretation. And Representative Napoleon Bracey, Democrat, Mobile, said the measure would not prevent violent crimes at parties. What could this bill have possibly done if it was already in law that would have stopped those things from happening? Bracey asked. We know these laws are not going to stop people from doing certain things. Yeah, I'd be surprised they let's see how many parties they shut down on Frat Row in Tuscaloosa.
No, exactly.
And as a matter of fact, how is it costing? Once again, how is this costing taxpayers money? Because don't they throw folks in jail, and then the folks got to pay a whole lot of fines, and then they go to prison, they serve as prison labor. Like, where's this costing money idea coming from?
Well, how do you determine participants? Like, I guess it's just a matter of whoever they happen to catch that gets to be on the hook for paying for the party. Like, if I go and I get away before they start arresting people, then what, I'm off the hook?
Yeah, like, I mean, it's right. This is a complete violation of the First Amendment, in my opinion.
I think so as well. I think that this bill will be turned on protesters very easily.
Well, let's, yeah. She looks like she like that. Cynthia Allman, Republican, Tuscaloosa. Yeah.
Well, so yeah, SB 280, whatever it is, or whatever it'll be in the Senate. I don't know what the number it'll be in the Senate, but that might be something worth contacting your state senator about, which for me is Arthur Orr. So I'll give him a call.
I think I got Wes Kitchens from Arab. He's pretty active himself in bringing up a whole bunch of bills to the Senate.
Well, calling my state senator is probably a little bit more effective than calling my state rep. My state rep is the House Majority Leader, and so he's not budging on anything. So when I'm calling about the anti-trans bills, like, his name is on the spot. Like, I still call him anyway, just because he should have to hear about it. But it's like, he sponsored this bill. He's not going to vote against his own bill, but I still call him just to register my little bit of disapproval. Just hopefully that makes him back off just a little bit. But calling my state senator Arthur Orr is generally a little bit more productive. He is a little bit more willing to back moderate proposals, which is nice. I mean, I'm not going to sing his praises too much. He is a Republican after all, but it is nice. He will at least. I feel like I'm being listened to a little bit better than calling Representative Stothagen.
Yeah, I've seen some non-crazy bills. I think he actually had maybe it wasn't him. I could be misremembering, but there's a bill that came out this week for adult size changing tables with, I think, mechanically adjustable, automatically adjustable height and stuff, to be able to help, like, because there's some children and some adults that out in public they need that. They might have their caretaker with them to have and stuff like that, and it's so funny, and I'm sure it was a Republican that came up with that bill.
It was Arthur Orr.
It was a war. Okay, I didn't remember correctly. Look at me. Gold
It was.
star, pat on the back.
There you go. It was the. If you look at that article that about the bills that passed this week, it's the very last one listed.
Yeah. And so it's so funny, just like they do something like that, but then they turn around and pass these jailing librarians bills and what have you. But bizarre.
It's a strange political environment in Alabama where there is at least some pressure to be moderate just because they have a complete control over everything in the state. That if you're a moderate leaning person who could flip a coin to run for which party, you're going to pick the Republicans because you're more likely to get elected.
Yeah.
And so that's created a coterie of more moderate Republicans among the people in the even in the supermajority here, which is part of the reason why calling them can be effective, because your particular congressman may not be as much of a chud as you assume he is.
Yeah. Well, not calling is definitely not effective.
Right.
But yeah, there like the other week there's the breastfeeding bill for being a jury member that got passed like that.
Yeah, because there was popular outcry to this woman who was being mistreated because she dared to be breastfeeding her kid while she was trying to serve jury duty.
Mm-hmm.
So there was enough outrage over that something happened right away. And so with enough outrage, we can make things happen. I really did sleep on contacting your state legislators for years. I always thought, oh, they're chuds. It's a lost cause. Like, why waste my time? But I have been impressed and amazed by the results that I've seen out of people committed to calling their state reps and state senators.
Yeah.
So Altrac really opened. I praise Altrac every time I mention this because they're the ones who really opened my eyes on this. The Alabama Coalition, the Alabama
Trans Rights
Action Coalition. Yeah, Alabama Trans Rights Action Coalition, Altrac.
Yeah.
So they're the ones who really opened my eyes to the power of simply contacting your state legislator and asking them to vote no on these terrible bills, and seeing their success with getting some of these bills either delayed to next year or even killed utterly has been amazing.
Yeah, I'll say there's been a lot of clips this week I saw of Republicans showing up at their town halls and whatnot, thoroughly outmanned and outgunned.
Yeah.
And and leaving with their tail between their legs, for sure. So,
yeah, I saw one just straight up run away from his constituents.
Like, I got 2 other meetings, and okay,
just noped out. Yep, you'll love to see it.
You do, and that and seeing all those folks and all the, like, I think one was one of the third reddest district in the country, something along those lines, and the solidarity of folks responding to Trump and his regime. It fills my heart with joy, it really does, and hope.
Yeah.
We talked about that like in our first episode about having hope, and say it again, we outnumber them, folks. We outnumber them. We just need to out-organize them.
Someone I respect made a point about that, about despair. And, when we think about the good Germans who went along to get along, that includes the people who gave up in despair. And so, we think of them as the quote unquote good Germans who didn't do anything. And that's the problem with despair, is that it can lead to inaction. I'm not a hopey, optimistic person by nature either, but I still feel it's important to pull levers that you can reach to do what you can, to take advantage of the freedom we still have in the society, what there is of it.
Yeah.
To
And not only that, like when you take an action, hey, go on and promote yourself on that. Like, get out there, say you did it, show other people that you did it, because action inspires action. And your little throwing your little stone in the water and showing people, like, they start throwing stones too, and that ripple becomes a wave. So
absolutely, yeah, pat yourself on the back, get your kudos. So it absolutely inspires other people to do likewise.
yes, show does. Like all these protests going on out there. This is a very smooth transition I just made. If y'all didn't notice, took me. I took a class on transitions. I did not take a class on transitions. I don't know if there is one, but smooth transition anyway to the protests going on all around the country, all around the world, really. There's I saw some protests in Greece going on. I know the Germans are out there. French are always out there protesting. But
the French really throw down,
don't they? I mean, there are revolutionary cousins, throwing down at the same time this country started. But they certainly did it a little bit different.
They get a little wild in Athens too, let me tell you.
Yes, there was. Yeah, I do not like the. Yeah, I do not like the description of the numbers. I think I said this last week. Dozens of people or whatever. Like today, I did a little quick head count, and there were right around 100 folks at the funeral for a reading that was put on by the At the Root Collective, and they had some partner organizations. I have the pamphlet with me. I think Altrek was definitely one of the partners, and the Rocket City Medics, and dadgum. But I saw some other, I saw some DSA members out there in support. We weren't one of the sponsors this week. And the Purple People Resistance, saw them, a couple of them out there as well. And then a bunch of other folks. Yeah. I mostly sat next to the counter protesters and held up a Defend the Constitution sign, blocking their megaphone. And yeah, which was actually effective. It made them keep turning their megaphone and away from the crowd and diminish their annoyances. So, I didn't get any spittle on me or nothing. But yeah, that was.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Rusks for a minute. So I don't know if you have this in your part of Alabama, but in our part, there is this. I guess they're married. There's this couple called the Rusks, and they turn up to left-wing events, especially if it has to do with LGBT issues, with a megaphone and an offensive sign, and basically shout, "You're all going to hell," and blah 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 blah. There are rumors that they get paid by local churches to attend these protests, but who knows how true that is. The right wing often spreads rumors about protesters getting paid on the left, and I was like, I wish I could get some of that George Soros money, but unfortunately, he's not cutting checks to me. So I'm a little hesitant to believe something like that, but it could be true. Who knows? But they're a reliable fixture at anything having to do with LGBT or anything having to do with anything really. And they're out there, just the two of them with their megaphone protesting the Rusks.
Yeah,
And they
I was I was gonna say I'm pretty sure I was like front and center on her live stream today. Uh, you know, so yay for me.
I went to a trans picnic once and I had the DSA banner and I unfolded it in front of them just to say, hey, look, the Democratic Socialists are here and we're 100% in favor of trans rights and you will never move us from that position. And they're like, oh, great, it's the Communist Party. Look, it's the Communist Party. Wonderful. Like, no, those guys are out there, but that's not us.
We have a caucus somewhere. But
yeah. I'm sure there are a couple of communist caucuses.
I'm sure there's probably 178 different communist caucuses with the way that shit works.
There's at least two, and they both hate each other's guts because one is Trotskyist and the other one is not. And yeah, you know how that goes. It's the People's Front of Judea skit from The Life of Brian.
Oh man, but yeah, the Rusks, they were there, and cop was sitting off on the side. There's quite a few passerbys that I swear to God, one little kid said to him, "You got a micro penis." I swear, the kids ain't fucking around, y'all. But I didn't laugh when I heard it. I'm laughing now though. And there was some other passerbys that recorded them, and I saw some A&M students give them a few earfuls. So yeah, they didn't have the support of the people. Thank goodness.
Oh yeah, and they yell the most horrific and offensive things. I mean, things that I won't repeat, but they really go in for homophobia. And
so I'm really thinking like to make a wall or a little sign made out of acoustic foam, and I might try to do that. I think some of that nice poster board, the foam board.
Oh yeah,
with a few plates of put it on both sides, paint it up maybe a little bit, put a little saying on it or so. But yeah, I was sitting up there blocking their sound with a "Defend the Constitution" sign, and it worked. So
that's good. So what was today's protest about? So today was the funeral for intellectual freedom and the right to read, because the Huntsville Public Library, and I guess they're trying to conform to state laws.
Right.
They have created a three-tiered system of young readers, where the lowest tier is basically just picture books and G-rated movies.
That's the default tier that everybody automatically.
So if you're 17 years old, without a parental note, you default to the lowest possible tier of board picture books and G-rated movies. And that's all you can check out from the library. And in order to get one of the level 2 or level 3 readers, you have to get
parent or guardian permission.
Right.
Yeah. And
so is this going to allow abusive parents to exercise control over what their children see and read?
And also be a pain in the ass for parents that want their kids to, read whatever. And it's also going to be a burden on students that are in college that might be 17. secondary and tertiary effects whenever these things come out, because they're poorly thought out. All these things have been deliberated for a long time. Before I was born, they figured all this stuff out, But here we are again, going back over it.
And so At the Root held a funeral for the right to read in Big Spring Park today in Huntsville. I was not able to attend. I had to volunteer at the homeless center, so I wasn't able to make it.
Which, thank you very much, as always, getting out there and
I wasn't trying to be like, oh, look at me.
Hey, yes, look at you. Yes, look at you. And like we just said, action inspires action. You tell them what you're doing. You tell them what you're doing, folks.
I just wanted to say I had a good reason for not going. I felt bad about not being able to go, but unfortunately, I had tasks I had to perform.
You were there in spirit. We know that. That's right.
So I'll be at the next one.
But yeah, I got to hear a couple speeches. All the speakers, I've heard them all speak before. They're all great speakers, and I look forward to hearing more of them speeches, because we're going to have to be saying a whole lot of speeches to a whole lot of people for a while. So be patient, y'all. Be patient. Be gritty. But not just here in Huntsville. There's some, and this headline right here: 443 protests in 443 parks across the nation occurred. We got this picture at the Roosevelt Arch in the northern entrance to Yellowstone National Park in Gardner, Montana. Ain't that lovely? There tens of people, the local news will say.
Yeah, tens of people. It looks like to me, the picture looks like a good 100 people.
Oh, this one right here, that's way more than 100 people.
I'm so terrible at judging.
I like count. When I get to a protest, I start counting how many people are there. So, and then, once you get like how dense the crowd is, and like you can just like kind of just start. There's a group of 10. There's a group of 10. There's a group of 10, like pretty easily. But yeah, there was at least 100 people there. But thousands of people gathered on Saturday at national parks from California to Maine to protest the Trump administration firing of at least 1,000 National Park Service employees last month. A group called Resistance Rangers, consisting of about 700 off-duty rangers, including some of who were fired from the National Park Service, they didn't try to organize, folks. They organized, protested each of the country's 433 national park sites on Saturday to stand up against what they see as threats to public lands, including the job cuts. Protests were held in popular spots like Yosemite in Northern California, Grand Canyon in Arizona, Acadia. There was one in Alabama. I know of at least one that was in Alabama. Yeah. Tensions have been particularly high at Yosemite, where employees have unfurled upside-down American flags in protest across iconic sites like Yosemite Falls and El Capitan. Mr. Graber said his group was concerned not only about the firings, but also about resource extraction on public lands and possible threats to national monuments, such as a proposal to remove the president's power to designate national monuments. He's trying to grab all this power, and he wants to give up that one. Okay. National Park Service said it was working with protest organizers to allow people to safely exercise their First Amendment rights while protecting its resources. So, yeah. Thank you, 12footladder.12foot.io for that. And yeah, well, and there's more protests planned this week, folks. There's one happening in Birmingham at noon, at, I believe, the Robert Vance, unfortunate name, uh, Robert Vance Federal Building. And then there's some organizing happening in by another indivisible group up here in Alabama, North Alabama, in Huntsville. We'll be meeting and getting together and talking. That'll be on the 6th, and there's more protests planned, and not only protests, but we'll talk about as we get closer wrapping up the economic blackout on February 28th. As you can see, it was pretty widely reported on. And yeah. And I think this was put on by the People's Union US. Let's see if we can find an article. Let's try this one. Okay. Today's economic blackout began from an unlikely source, but it's tapped into Americans' anger. In early February, John Schwartz, a self-described mindfulness and meditation facilitator, proposed a 24-hour nationwide economic blackout of major chains on the last day of the month. Schwartz urged people to forego spending at Amazon, Walmart, and all other major retailers and fast food companies for a day. He called them to spend money only at small businesses and on essential needs, with cash as well, instead of credit or debit cards, as they get a little percentage when you swipe. I think it's normally about 4%, 3%, something like that. The system has been designed to exploit us. System designed by the rich, said Schwartz, who goes by the one called the one called on social media, in a video to his roughly 250,000 followers on Instagram and TikTok. On February 28th, we are going to remind them who really holds the power, for one day we turn it off. Schwartz, 57, has no background in social or political organizing. Until earlier this year, he almost exclusively posted videos of himself offering inspirational messages and motivational tips, sitting in his home backyard and shopping mall parking lots. That's the thing, like, you know, start off with the comedy or the meditation or whatever, and then flip right into politics once you hit 250,000 followers. He had low expectations for his boycott message gaining traction. Thought maybe a handful of my followers would do it, he told CNN in a phone interview. Instead, Schwartz rapidly spread online. His video has been shared more than 700,000 times on Instagram and viewed 8.5 million. Celebrities such as Stephen King, Bette Midler, and Mark Ruffalo have encouraged people to participate. Reporters wrote and aired TV pieces about the boycott, propelling it further. The economic blackout effort is relatively uncoordinated and nebulous. Experts on consumer boycotts and corporate strategy are dubious that it will make a dent in the bottom lines of the massive companies it targets, let alone the vast U.S. economy. Effective boycotts are typically well organized and make clear and specific demands and are focused on one company or issue. But this boycott has gained strength online because it has captured visceral public anger with the American economy, corporation, and politics. There is a lot of people wanting to do something. Doing something in the American context has often meant using pocketbook politics, said Lawrence Glickman, a historian at Cornell University and author of Buying Power, A History of Consumer Activism in America. And that sounds like a book I want to read. This is a way of engaging in a form of collective action outside of the electoral arena that makes people feel some connection and sense of potential power. People online say they want to join the boycott for many different reasons. Some are commenting about high prices and cost of living. Others are angry about the power of large corporations and billionaires such as Elon Musk. Some are pushing back against the Trump administration's efforts to gut federal programs and fears about an autocracy in America. Yet others want to boycott companies rolling back their diversity, equity, inclusion policies. Schwartz scrambled as a result of the response to create a group. He called it the People's Union and inscribed it on its new website that is frequently down as a movement created by the people for the people to take action against corporate control, political corruption, and the economic system. Oh, he has raised around 770,000 in donations on a GoFundMe that solicits funds for social campaigns, legal advocacy, and other efforts. He has also called for more targeted boycotts in the coming weeks against specific companies, including Amazon and Walmart. Walmart declined to comment. Amazon did not respond. Although the response online appears to be strongest from the political left, Schwartz has no ideology that can be considered consistently progressive or conservative, at least along the traditional U.S. political spectrum. He does not belong to either political party, but he supports Bernie Sanders. In recent posts, he advocated for the end of federal income tax, term limits in Congress, universal health care, and price caps. He definitely has some ideological and economic ideas that don't work. But
most people are a good mix of different ideas. It's like sort of the Hawk Tuah girl, like when she started her podcast, like she's just a normie centrist sort of person, and she has like a wide melange of viewpoints. And I think that most people who don't pay close attention to politics are a complicated tapestry of views. We'll put
I
it that
will,
way.
I will 100% agree with that. 100% agree. You know, it's hard to just keep up, by design. And like I said, over 60% of the people paycheck to paycheck. Most people have a sixth grade reading level. Another 30% are illiterate or have a disability regarding reading. And put those things together, and with limited time, is hard for folks. It's hard for folks to be engaged and knowledgeable about how you need income tax to fund healthcare for all. But
Right. Well, there needs to be more income tax, even if we're going to pay for it.
yeah, especially from the 1% or the top 10%, really, uh, and corporate income taxes. Uh, I'd be happy to have Eisenhower's corporate tax rates.
I know, right?
They were 90%, folks. 90% corporate tax rate. Why? Because they extracted so much value from workers and the tax system itself. So that's why it was a 90% tax rate, because they thieving. So yeah, I took part in this. Were you able? Because I know not everybody can participate in things like this on certain days and stuff. Maybe you're out of medicine that day. Maybe somebody gets sick. Maybe you had to work a double shift and didn't get time to get your food on Thursday and whatnot. But were you able to participate?
I did participate in the blackout. I wound up having to skip lunch because I didn't have anything to eat for lunch, but it's all right. I skipped a meal instead of going out to eat.
Yeah, hey, I got to start skipping meals. My cholesterol is up, and I gained 30 pounds since last year.
Well,
So.
well, I am not in great shape to begin with, so
Hey, you're in. You got a puncher's chance anytime out there. I know that for a fact.
yeah.
But yeah, I was able to take part. Planned a little bit ahead, and I had the whole family hyped up about it, and you know, uh, they definitely found that like that wiggle room of buying some dinner at the local Mexican place. We didn't. We're going to save it for Monday night. But they're like, that's a small business. That's a home-owned business. I was like, damn, y'all should be lawyers with it. But I'm glad y'all paying attention. I'm glad y'all paying attention.
Yeah, I'd like to see it become a weekly thing where on Fridays we just don't buy things if we can help it.
Hey,
and maybe go to your local free stores and your buy nothing groups and build those up.
Yeah, that's exactly. So I'm hooked up with the 5051 folks who that's one of the Wednesday or the March 4th protests that's happening across the nation, and the one in Birmingham. They're affiliate the individual folks affiliated up with them, but here in Alabama at least. We got folks on board about that weekly economic blackout, and we're trying to push the national movement and at least lead the way on that. So getting a flyer up, it should be out tomorrow. But in this household, we're at least going to do it every Friday from here on out for a while.
Yeah, I'm going to try that too. And try to encourage people to do the same.
Yep. So that is what we're shooting for, and I think it will take hold and take effect. And it's something that fundamentally we have to do. Like a strike is flexing economic power. Some people might not really think of it like that, but it is. And flexing collectively the power of our purse, the power of our wallet, weekly is something that a lot of folks can participate in. Some folks might have more ability to participate in an economic blackout than they do with a protest, or some other form of action, So that's what we're pushing here in Alabama, and we do hope y'all take part and keep your eye out. You see a flyer, spread the word, get economically disciplined, get militant about this, because it matters, and we have to do it collectively. And I think we got a little time for one more thing, which in this week's economic blackout, at least here in Alabama, that we're pushing. We're also pushing for BIPOC businesses, Black owned, indigenous, people of color, in support of the Bloody Sunday event down in Selma. So we're trying to not just local businesses, but remember Black owned businesses, but yeah, March 6th to 9th. Let's see if I can clean this up a little bit. There we go. Bridge Crossing Jubilee, spend a weekend in Selma. So that's going to be taking part, schedule of events starting tomorrow. Kingian nonviolence training. And there's fees for this, but for at least this one, but it also goes to a good cause. And it's a 5-day training, so it's not, you ain't getting just one little hour on it, you get probably some of the best training in possibly the world, right? And then Thursday, it'll start. There's the Voting Rights History Bowl, revisiting the quote Negro problem a 21st Century View, R.T. Pollard Retreat, and then a mass meeting at the Tabernacle Baptist Church. Friday, they even got a golf tournament. I have some ideas about what to do with golf courses, but hey, one golf course here or there, I'm fine with. An education summit in person is Black Achievement Under Attack. Children's Sojourn / Youth Freedom March over the Pettus Bridge. Conversations with the Foot Soldiers of 65 and Freedom Fest at Memorial Park. Warrant and expungement clinic. All traffic and misdemeanor warrants welcome. No fear of arrest. Start your expungement process. 10:30, 50-mile peace rally and walk.
50 miles.
Oh yeah, from what I remember, it's that took place over a few days originally. So, they had it all set up with like stopping and food and resting overnight, if I recall correctly. Individual Giants Conference, Education Summit is Black Achievement continued is Black Achievement Under Attack. A mock trial. The author of Project 2025 on trial for treason. Now that sounds fun. Public conversation, and then Saturday 8 to 10 Foot Soldiers Breakfast. Jubilee Parade. The formerly incarcerated People Movement Backwards March. The Battle of the Bands. This sounds so fun, y'all. Wellness and Empowerment Village and Uplifting. The Black Belt Cultural Village. The Jubilee Street Festival. Fighting Forward, Gen Z and Young Millennials, Our Future, Our Vote. Women's Roundtable, No Vote, No Choice. No Vote, No Voice, Moving Forward. Luncheon, Under the Bridge, Democracy Beyond the Ballot. Ministers of Justice Roundtable, Movement Building, Education and Activation. I think that's some liberation theology right there. Moving Through Time with Art and Fashion. Intergenerational Hip Hop Political Summit. The Future of Nonprofits, Understanding the Proposed Legislation on 501c3s. Fighting Forward, Unifying and Organizing to Face the Challenges of 2025. Demanding Democracy, Grassroots Powers and Partnerships. Fighting Forward, Voter Registration Correction Now. Introduction into the Hall of Resistance. Making Democracy Deliver. Sponsored by the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. Induction into the Women's Hall of Fame. Meet, Mingle, and Discuss Networking Reception. Mr. and Mrs. Jubilee Pageant. Induction into the Legal Hall of Fame. Stepping Out on the Vote Step Show. Freedom Flame Award. This is all just Saturday. Freedom Flame Awards Gala. And Be Heard, World Theater Troupe and Selma students. Spoken word, song, hip hop, and modern dance. Sunday, Martin and Coretta King Unity Breakfast. Sunday morning services, pre-march rally, march to restore voting rights, post-march rally, 60th Bridge Crossing Super Soul Sunday benefit concert, and then Monday, Selma to Montgomery March. Location starting Monday at foot of the Pettus Bridge and ending Friday at the state capitol in Montgomery, Alabama. So yeah, Monday, March 14th to Friday, the 14th. So yeah, we're working on it. Economic Blackout coming up again, and all this lovely togetherness. It's a shame how it came about, but it came about, and here we are, and finding joy in it. Yeah. March 6th through 9th. And then the Monday, March 10th through Friday, March 14th. So that is action packed. And I'm hoping to be able to find a way to get down there somehow and take part. Like I said, it's hard to take part in things sometimes and get in when you can, how you can. But I'm hoping to be able to bring the family down there and check it out a little bit. So we've got a lot coming up this month. And we are just about done for the night, I do believe. But Jason, what's your thoughts on the Selma Jubilee before we go?
Well, it looked amazing. I'd love to be able to participate, but it's going to be hard for me to get down there.
Yeah.
But it looked like a full 2 weeks of just solid events to go and participate in. So would encourage anybody to go and participate in it if they can.
Even if you can go for one day, all you got is one day, you know. And also something else we're neglected to mention earlier about the legislature, and something else we're trying to push for is, unlike the national Democrats, it looks like the Democrats in Alabama have a bit of a spinal column, because they spent a day in the Senate, I do believe, filibustering the whole thing for a variety of reasons. One of them being that absolute immunity bill trying to come down the pipe, among a bunch of other bills coming down the pipe. But wanted to also highlight the Alabama Democrats that stood tall, and that maybe give them a call this week, because you shouldn't only just call the folks trying to bring all these terrible bills and laws into act. You should also call and encourage the folks that are doing the right thing. It matters. Yeah. You know, give folks their flowers, right? So a whole bunch of stuff going on. And I think the cup is full. Yeah. Jason, you got anything you'd like to highlight this week? I should have had some more flyers today, but you know, such is my professionalism.
Someday we'll be super professional. Yeah, I decided that last protest I went to will be the last protest that I don't have literature about DSAO out, even if it's just that little flyer that I made. So that's going to be my action item, is to print some flyers. It's like that. Well, never mind.
Oh, what you gonna say?
Oh, I was going to say, it's like that character in that movie with Thor, where he was going to have a revolution, but he didn't burn enough pamphlets. So they couldn't have the revolution.
Oh,
that rock guy, I forget his name. Yeah.
Hey, Austin, in the audience out there, thank you very much for that. We appreciate you. That's very kind to hear.
Absolutely. Yeah, we appreciate the good feedback. And the only thing I want to call out this week is, speaking of giving credit where it's due, Kay Ivey, of all people, got a rare praise from me this week because she commuted the death sentence of Robin Myers. So, if you had asked me, I would have thought, Ivy is just she's going to put people to death. She's like Steve Marshall. He just has this weird fascination with the death penalty and wants to execute as many people as possible for his own political career and for his own sense of bloodlust or whatever. But it turns out that maybe she actually is looking into these, even though she's presided over 22 executions. She decided that there wasn't sufficient evidence of Mr. Myers' guilt to justify giving him the death penalty. Not to mention the fact that he has an IQ of 65. So he has an intellectual handicap that would make, I think, executing him unconscionable to begin with. But there was, it's a similar story you've heard about other issues like DeForest Johnson, especially. Like there is a lot of murky stuff. There was no murder weapon found, no DNA evidence, no fingerprints, no physical evidence that tied him to the scene of the crime. And that's paraphrasing Ivy's words. So the eyewitnesses never identified Mr. Myers as the assailant. So it's similar to a lot of stories where there is like some very circumspect evidence, and it also is worth pointing out that Myers was given the death penalty over the recommendations of a life sentence from a jury, which is something that judges can't do in Alabama anymore. So he's one of a few people who were on death row who were given their death sentence by a judge instead of by a jury. So now, obviously, I'm a hardcore anti-death penalty advocate. I'm so anti-death penalty, I think the Allies were wrong to hang the Nazis. Like,
I will have to disagree with you on that, but
I'm just saying.
I do appreciate the hey, be a better man than me, folks.
Well, I don't know about that, but I've said if I witness somebody with my own two eyes commit a capital murder, I would not give him the death penalty.
Well, I know this much. I think Mr. Marshall was very upset with her decision, and good.
Yes.
Good.
Yes, he was very upset about it. He was quite beside himself. He wrote kind of a nasty little letter, or said some things about how appalled he was that she had done this. So I had thought that Kay Ivey was just handing out the death penalty and not caring, and maybe she is in most cases, but she at least reviewed this one and realized there wasn't enough evidence to convict the man, and did the right thing and gave him life imprisonment without parole. So I want to give a rare shout out to Kay Ivey for doing something resembling the right thing.
Right. Clock twice, right, broken, all that.
Right. Exactly.
Well, I'd like to tell folks to like, subscribe, share, comment, email us right there at Cornbread and Roses at northal-dsa.org. Let us know if you want to come on and talk. Let us know how we're doing, and I appreciate y'all. And,
tell us how professional you are.
Yeah. Give us some
tips. We need them.
We do. We certainly do.
I spend hours getting ready for this podcast every week, and you can't tell.
I do too, folks. I do too.
You cannot tell.
And every time I feel wholly unprepared, but I face the music anyway. And yeah, I think with that, as we like to say around here, in the immortal words of Fred Hampton, all the power to all the people, and we the people break our chains together. I appreciate y'all, folks. Solidarity forever.
Solidarity forever.